Hey guys, this video is to help you get started on your stained glass functions project. For this project, you need two pieces of paper. One has to be some kind of graph paper with the grid, okay? And then the other sheet can be any other type of paper. It can be computer paper, printer paper, cardstock paper, color paper, doesn't matter. Okay, so if you're using the graph paper that is in your math packet, it's gonna look something like this. It'll be blank at first, so you're gonna have to draw somewhere halfway your y-axis and somewhere halfway your x-axis. Okay, you can also buy some graph paper that's already labeled. You just need to make sure that you can see the four quadrants. Don't forget that there's also the stained glass project graph paper that you can print out if you have access to a printer. Okay, for your project on slide 4, I believe, of your project slides, you selected 10 equations. For this example video, I have these 8 equations that I'm gonna show you how to graph, but you're gonna graph your 10 equations that you chose on your slides. Okay, definitely recommend a ruler so that your lines are straight. All of our lines that we're graphing should be straight lines. Okay, and then we're gonna use some sort of black marker, pencil, color pencil to draw our functions with. Okay, my first equation that I'm plotting is x equals 3. Okay, so if we're looking at our graph here, you're gonna find where x equals 3. This is the x-axis, x equals 3 is right here, 1, 2, 3, right at this point. And if x equals 3, x is always 3. So my line isn't gonna be there is no rise over run. There is no y-intercept. Your line is going to look like this because x is always 3. Draw some arrows. And then I'm going to label that with my equation. So we can draw it somewhere up here. This line is x equals 3. Okay, so we're done with this one. Okay, x equals -5. So we're gonna look, where does x equal -5? This is the x-axis, x is -5. Let's see, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -5. We're gonna draw a straight line. Some arrows. That is what x equals -5 looks like graphed. I'll label that. All right. My next one is y equals 4. So this time we're looking at the y-axis that goes up and down. Where is y equals 4? Y equals 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And y equals 4 is going to go straight across. This has 0 slope. It's just a line that is always at y equals 4. So this one's y equals 4. Actually, for the sake of my project, what I'm going to do really quick, because my lines are kind of blending in with my axis here, I'm going to go ahead and highlight my x and y axis so you guys can see. This one right here is my y-axis, my original y-axis. This one right here is my original x-axis, just so you guys can see where I'm plotting the functions. Okay, so my next one, is y equals -7. So I'm going to find -7 on my y-axis. Here's my y-axis, find -7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's going to go all the way across. And then I'm going to label it y equals -7. Okay, so if you have equations like this, x equals something, y equals something, they're just going to be straight vertical or horizontal lines. They're not additive or proportional functions. So those don't have a y-intercept or a slope, really. They're either undefined, going straight across, straight up and down, or 0 slope going straight across. Okay, now these functions are going to be a little bit different. Okay, these top two are proportional because it is multiplication or division rule. and it follows the equation y equals mx. Y equals mx. That m is our slope. Okay, so I'm going to graph this first one, y equals 1/4 x. That means this is going to be a rise of 1, a run of 4. So up 1 over 4. And proportional, these two, remember, are going to include the origin. So I'm going to actually start in the middle to graph those. So this first one, 1/4 x, y equals 1/4 x, up 1 over 4, starting from the middle. So up 1 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my next point. Up 1 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my next point. And that's actually going to be enough points for us to go ahead and graph our line. So we can go and do that. Okay, so it's going to go through the origin. This is really our first point. And then it's going to go through those 2 points that we just made using up 1 over 4. So this line is what y equals 1/4 x looks like. Up 1 over 4, up 1 over 4. And I'll keep going. Up 1 over 4, it'll hit the line again. Up 1 over 4, it'll hit the line again. Okay, so it's going to look a little bit messy, so just make sure that your x and your y axis are clearly labeled. If you want to highlight it like I did, that might help. Make sure your lines, you label them as you go with what the equation is, but it's going to look like 10 random lines because we're creating this unique stained glass window. Okay, my next one is y equals -2x. Remember, if it's -2x, it's going to be a negative slope. And it's going to, we can also put this over 1. So it's going to be down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, starting at the origin again. So down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Okay, so once you make a few of those points, you're going to be able to use your ruler and draw your line. Remember to include the origin. It should touch the center. Okay, so let me pull this down a little bit. Okay, so that's what that function graph looks like. I'm going to label it y equals -2x. Okay. Okay, 2 more to go. These two are additive functions because we can see that it's an adding or subtracting rule, which means it's not going to start at 0. It's going to start at your y-intercept. The slope is going to be a perfect up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Okay, so remember that our additive functions, if my ruler were the line, it really looks something like this, and it's just shifting up and down over the y-axis. Remember, proportional, it's turning like this, like a clock, because it has to touch 0. Okay, so this second number tells me what my y-intercept is. So y equals x minus 1. Minus 1 is my b, right? So I'm going to start at -1 on my coordinate plane, where y equals -1. And then it's going to be a perfect staircase, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So start at -1. That's my y-intercept. And then it's going to be perfect up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Okay. It's getting a little bit crowded, but that's okay. Just try your best to keep it as neat as possible. Okay, so this one is y equals x minus 1. You can see that -1 y-intercept. Okay, and then we have y equals x plus 8. This plus 8 is our y-intercept, so we're going to start at where y is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the y-intercept, and it's going to be perfect staircase. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So line them up, draw your line. This is y equals x plus 8. Okay, so you're going to have 10 of those lines, and then what you're going to do is you're going to color in each one of these sections in a different color to make a stained glass window. Okay? All right, so that is one sheet of paper, right? So you can color this like blue, and then maybe red, and this little section right here a different color, this little corner a different color, but you're going to color in each one of those different sections a different color to show you the stained glass window. Now your second sheet of paper, what you have to do for each one of those, okay, I'm just using this blue sheet of paper because I found it in my math packet. For each one of your equations, you're going to have 10 of these. You can fit it all in one sheet of paper. You can write smaller than me. I just wanted to make sure that you can see my numbers. Or you can use multiple sheets of paper, whatever you want. For each equation, you have to write the equation, tell me a little bit about that equation, and then fill out a XY table with at least 5 rows. Okay, so x equals 3. You can look at your graph here if you need to remember this is x equals 3 line. That is not additive or proportional, it is undefined. Okay, so we're going to write undefined, which means it doesn't have a slope, it doesn't really have a y-intercept. That just means that x always equals 3. Okay? X always equals 3. That means in my table, it doesn't matter what my y is. My y can be -5, -3, 0, 3, 5. It doesn't matter what my y is. X is 3. Okay, you can use whatever values you want here because x is always 3. If you had an equation like this, y equals 4. Okay, we can look at this. Y equals 4 is right here. It's going straight across. So it actually does kind of have a y, it does have a y-intercept right here at 4. It crosses at 4. Y equals 4 has a slope of 0 because it's flat. So we can write m equals 0. We can say that has or y always equals 4. I'm just putting this in brackets to help you see the different parts. Okay, so it doesn't matter, this time, doesn't matter what x is. X can be -10, -5, 0, 5, 10. Doesn't matter what your x values are. Y is always 4. Okay, what if you had one of these types of equations? Y equals 1/4 x. This is proportional. I'm gonna write proportional. Proportional. Okay, it's proportional. Proportional functions have a slope. Slope is m. You can write m, you can write slope. Slope is 1/4. Was there anything else I was supposed to write in there? Let me see. Nope, I wrote the equation, the type, the slope, okay? So this time you need to come up, for all of these tables, you have to come up with your own values, but your y is 1/4 of your x. So I would create x values that's easy to take 1/4 of. So maybe like different multiples of 4, so maybe -12, -8, 0, 8, 12, something like that. Now, if you put 0 on there, this is proportional, so we know it's going to include the origin, 0, 0. And then to figure out your y value, your rule is 1/4. When you're taking 1/4 of something, you're dividing by 4. So -12 divided into fourths is -3. -8 divided into fourths, -8 divided by 4 is -2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. This one is additive. write additive function, whatever you like, which means there's no slope, there's a y-intercept. So we can say a y-intercept, or you can write b equals this part right here, -1. Our y-intercept was -1. So pick whatever x values you want. Like -4, -2, 0, 2, 4. If you wanted to do -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, that's fine. If you wanted to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's fine. Whatever x values you want. Your y is x minus 1. So this x value minus 1. -4 minus 1. It's -5. -2 minus 1. -3. 0 minus 1. -1. 2 minus 1 is 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay, so you could start with any x values you want in your table as long as your y values follow this equation. Okay? So you're going to do this for all 10 of your equations. You're going to write your equation, fill out your XY table, include 5 rows, so 5 sets of numbers. Tell me if it's additive or proportional. If it's proportional, it has to have some kind of slope. If it's additive, it's going to have some sort of y-intercept. And then if it's one of these types of equations, you can tell me if the slope is 0 or if it's undefined, and then tell me what it means. Like this one, x is always 3. This one, y is always 4. Okay? All right. So you're going to take these 2 pictures. Once you finish them, you're going to color this in. Make sure it's nice and colorful and actually looks like stained glass. Make sure you label your equations. You're going to take pictures of both of these and submit it on your slides. I hope that helps.